Let's do a quick test. Look at this line. Now, look at these three lines. Which line, A, B, or C, is the same length as the first one? It's easy, right? The answer is obviously C. A first grader could get this right. Now, imagine you're in a room with 7 other people all taking the same test. The experimenter shows the first set of cards. Everyone, one by one, says the correct answer. Easy. The second set, same thing. But on the third trial, something strange happens. The first person looks at the cards and confidently says A. You blink. The second person says A, the third A. Person after person gives the same obviously wrong answer. Now it's your turn. The silence hangs in the air. Everyone is looking at you. What do you say? Do you trust your own eyes or do you go along with the group? After the horrors of World War II, many scientists were focused on destructive obedience to authority. But psychologist Solomon Asch was interested in a more subtle, everyday force, our tendency to conform to our peers. He wondered if group pressure could be so strong that it could make a person deny the evidence of their own senses. So in the 1950s, he devised an experiment that was elegant in its simplicity. He advertised it as a vision test. Participants were seated in a room and told they would be judging the length of lines. But only one person in the room was a real subject. The rest were actors, instructed by Asch to give unanimously wrong answers on specific critical trials. The real subject was placed, so they would always answer last, or second to last, after hearing most of the group give a false answer. The question wasn't about vision. It was about how the subject would handle this bizarre social contradiction.
The experiment you'll be taking part in today involves the perception of lengths of lines. As you can see here, I have a number of cards, and on each card there are several lines. Your task is a very simple one. You're to look at the line on the left and determine which of the 3 lines on the right is equal to it in length. All right, we'll proceed in this order. You'll give your answer.
Only one of the people in the group is a real subject, the 5th person with the white t-shirt. The others are confederates of the experimenter and have been told to give wrong answers on some of the trials. The experiment begins uneventfully as subjects give their judgments.
2.
2.
2.
2.
2. 3. 3.
3. 3.
But on the 3rd trial, something happens.
2. 2.
2.
2. 2.
The subject denies the evidence of his own eyes and yields to group influence.
1.
Asch found subjects went along with the group on 37% of the critical trials. But he found through interviews that they went along with the group for different reasons.
1.
1.
They must be right. There are 4 of them and 1 of me.
1.
This subject's yielding is based on a distortion of his judgment. He genuinely believes that the group is correct.
1.
1.
1.
2.
1. 2. 2.
2.
I know they're wrong, but why should I make waves?
2.
In this case, the subject knows he is right, but goes along to avoid the discomfort of disagreeing with the group. Here, the distortion is at the level of his response.
2.
2.
2.
2.
In the previous experiment, the naive subject stood alone against the group. In this variation, Asch gave the naive subject a partner, here seated in the 3rd position, who also gives the correct response.
1. 1.
2.
1. 2.
With a partner, yielding drops to only 5% of the critical trials compared to 37% without a partner. Although subjects report warmth and good feeling toward the partner, they typically deny that he played a role in their own independence. The partnership variation shows that much of the power of the group came not merely from its numbers, but from the unanimity of its opposition. When that unanimity is punctured, the group's power is greatly reduced.
So how powerful is this pressure? Remember, in the control group, where participants took the test alone, they made errors less than 1% of the time. This was a dead simple task. But what happened when they were surrounded by a group giving wrong answers? In Asch's classic study, 75% of participants conformed to the group's wrong answer at least once. A full 3/4 of people were willing to deny their own eyes to avoid being the odd one out. So why did they do it? When interviewed afterward, the subjects gave two main reasons, and they reveal a deep truth about the human mind. Some experienced what psychologists call normative influence. They knew the group was wrong, but they conformed to be liked, to avoid the discomfort of being a dissenter. They didn't want to be the fool. Others experienced something far stranger, informational influence. The group's confidence was so total that they began to genuinely doubt their own perception. They thought, if all of them see it that way, they must be right and I must be wrong. They conformed because they believed the group was better informed. Crucially, Asch also showed us how to break the spell. In one variation, he had just one other actor in the group give the correct answer. With a single ally, conformity dropped by 75%. It didn't take a crowd to break the consensus. It just took one other voice of truth. This tells us something vital. The power of conformity is not in the number of people, but in its unanimity. Where the Milgram subjects had to reframe their responsibility, the Asch subjects' challenge was to reframe their source of truth. The key to resisting this kind of pressure is to switch your validation source from external, what does the group say, to internal, what do I perceive? It's the skill of trusting your own judgment even when it's socially expensive. So, would you lie about what you see? The Asch experiment shows that for most of us, the answer is yes, at least some of the time. We are social animals wired to connect and belong. But that wiring can be hijacked to make us doubt our very senses. We've seen the power of an authority figure, and now the power of our peers. But what happens when there's no direct order and no group staring at you? What happens when you see someone in trouble, and you're just one person in a crowd? That's the chilling puzzle of the bystander effect, and it's where we're going in our final episode of this module. If you're ready to continue challenging the way your own mind works, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. In the comments, tell us, have you ever been in a situation where you stayed silent even when you knew the group was wrong? Let's discuss.